This is the Baymont Podcast with Marty Solomon. I'm his co-host, Brent Billings. Today we conclude our review of Season 2 of The Chosen with a discussion on the 8th episode.
Here it is. I've been waiting for this episode this whole season of commentary. It did it to me again. You couldn't have... I mean, if you remember how crazy I was about Sabbath at Mary's house in Season 1 towards the beginning, I believe I called it like one of the best scenes I've ever seen in cinema. Like, I just loved it. And this has a close second, this episode today. Just one of the finest scenes. Wrecks me every time. It's only getting worse the more I watch the episode. And yet has the moments that I just went, for the first time in 2 seasons, what in the Sam heck is going on with that?
Yes. Well, we'll see if we share our wrecking moment, but I certainly was crying last night as I was preparing for this recording.
It didn't take away from the good moments of this episode. I'll say that, man. It's so good.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So we start off, there's 3 men negotiating the sale of some land. The current owner is asking about the lineage of the people buying it. And he's like, well, Reuben giving land to Simeon after 40 generations, come on. And they're like, well, we're going to carve some tombs into the rock for middle-class burials. It's so expensive to get buried, close to town, blah, blah, blah. They're offering 40 talents. The guy's name is Husham. I don't know if he'll end up coming back later, but his name is Husham. He agrees to sell. They eventually settle on 49 talents, just in case there's something under the rocks. And you kind of get the sense that there's something going on behind all the conversation. But Husham is thinking about the promises made to Abraham, and he's kind of lost a little bit in his thoughts. And they're like, "Come on, man, let's just get the covenants signed and get ourselves out of here." And then as they finish up the main negotiator, I'm just going to call him the negotiator because we don't ever learn his name. But he smirks as he's about to get away with something. And then the other guy, who we find out at the end of the episode, is Judas. So I'm going to just refer to him as Judas for simplicity's sake. Judas is looking very uneasy at this point about what they're doing. Yeah,
I thought there was a lot of cool history in that little opening scene as they start building some character. They start doing some character work. But I liked how they really preserved the attachment to land, the awareness of our fathers, the angst that people in that part of history would. It was good. I like that opening scene. They do a really good job with their opening scenes. I feel like consistently, they do a great job pre-credits. It's nice.
Just pre-credits. I really like the 40 generations thing, because it's like, well, I don't know if the math would actually work out on 40 generations, but I don't really care. I feel like what he's saying is like, hey, 40 generations, my family's been on this land. We have had our ups and downs. We have come to know who God is on this land. Like, this has so much more meaning to us than, simply a sale price and making a little bit of money.
No, I love it. Yeah. And my point about the pre-credits thing is that can't be an easy scene. Writing an opening scene that sometimes is detached historically, like, that's just got to be a tough scene to write. How do you open and grab the attention and do it artistically in a way that's well designed? I'm no screenwriter. I imagine that has to be one of the trickiest parts of an episode. So that's why I appreciate all those scenes so much. I'm like, that was clever. It was really clever.
Yeah, Dallas made some comments in his reaction video about this episode, where because it opened in a place where we didn't recognize, with people that we didn't know, but it didn't have a location and a date,
right?
That people were theorizing all sorts of things
sure,
about what that would mean. So yeah, normally these opening scenes are set, sometime in the past. But in this case, it's just introducing us to brand new characters. So
yep.
Then we have the credits. So we come out of there. The disciples are chopping wood, just kind of getting ready for the day. Z comes back from exercising. There's remarks about the women are already up and studying in the tent. John is uncomfortable that Z doesn't have his, I don't know what you'd call it, his outer cloak on. He's just wearing like a tank top kind of thing. And they're like, hey, not being very modest here. And he's like, I'm not worried about it. And Andrew's continuing to obsess about Mary's reasoning for leaving, and he's like, shouldn't it be enough that she can listen to Jesus? Why does she have to learn all this stuff too? I think that's probably about all of the women, not just Mary, but
sure,
he's still struggling with the Mary part. And Big James is a little upset and comments like, they can't learn from Jesus, they can't listen to him because he's never around. And Philip and Thomas return with food for everyone. Simon's asking about Matthew. They're discussing security for the sermon. And then John is just like, look, guys, whatever we do, we really got to get this right. We cannot screw this up.
Yeah, I think you can, like the resentment you can feel with Andrew and Mary, and the angst in the disciples just as a whole. Yeah, there's evident there in that scene. I like that too.
I mean, we definitely see in the Gospels that they continue to argue amongst themselves basically through the end of it. So I mean,
pretty much nonstop through the Passover meal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this I hope we'll continue to see scenes like this, going forward, because there's just so many different perspectives. Always in attention. So I think this is good.
Yep.
Next up, we have Rama and Mary practicing reading and writing. I guess Mary's not really practicing writing. She turns out to be writing. She's making flyers for the sermon. But Rama is practicing reading and writing, and Mary's going through it, assisting with her, and Mary's been memorizing the rest of Psalm 139, and that's what Rama's reading.
Obviously, super gifted, by the way that, because I get the impression that like Mary's had a little bit of a head start. You can tell she's had some interaction with the text through her childhood, those kind of things. Obviously, we know from the Gospels and the setting, even within the Chosen, like she's got some means, but. I get the impression she's supposed to kind of be picking this up along with Rama and Matthew. She's learning along with the group, and obviously she has a great gift, as the episodes portray it, for memorizing, for comprehension, and what a cool little bit of her experience.
Yeah, it seems like they were saying that if anything, she would have maybe memorized Torah, but probably not any of the rest of it. So.
Right.
Whatever work she's doing in the Psalms here is fresh work. So yeah, she's definitely digging into it. And I love her line. Rama is impressed that she knows it so well, and she's like, well, I need more text in me, something along those lines. I need more text in me because I need to be prepared next time I'm struggling.
It sounds like you loved it. I was heartbroken when I heard that line, because I was like, oh man, she's doing that out of this sense of. That line comes from this sense of, if I only had more, then I wouldn't struggle. Like if I only, and I thought, what a powerful lesson for some of our listeners, and the gravity we give to the text and the importance that we talk about getting the text in us. That part's fantastic. And yet I thought, oh man, for any of and there's got to be just a ton of people that have a similar angst in them, that I just don't have enough text in me. Because if I had enough text, like quantifiably, if I got enough quantity in me, then I would be enough. Then I wouldn't struggle. Then I would be fully equipped. And I just more. And I love that Rama sees that and kind of calls that out in her. And like, you've got to stop. I think her line is, you've got to stop obsessing over this. And even for people that have like really hear what we're saying, love the text, thank you, Bema, be real careful that we don't just attach that same spirit of productivity to that sense of, I'm just going to get more text in me, more, because then my value increases. Or, that value and that preparation isn't attached to a quantity of production. It's attached to a heart that's submitted and open. And I think David would say contrite, we were talking about the Psalms here, but I thought that was a great line too.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, and that's probably more along the lines of what's actually happening there. The way I was reading it is that she was saying, specifically in the context of Psalm 139, like, hey, I need to have a stronger view of how God sees me and how God values me.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
But I don't know.
You were even, I like that touche. You were like, yeah, but what about the text she's actually looking at? I like that. I like it. Yeah.
Well, I can't say for sure, but I think there's probably some lessons to learn on both sides of that anyway.
Amen and amen.
So then we see Tamar with the group. She's speaking with Mother Mary, and Thomas brings apricots up to the tent, and he's kind of trying to catch Tamar up on who the rest of the disciples are and what they're all about. And Tamar's like, do they actually love each other? Because they're really getting into it over there. And he's like, yeah, it's good. But ultimately, Tamar takes the apricots to Rama and Mary, and Thomas is like, hey, just so you know, Philip, he found apples, but I wanted to get apricots because I knew they're Rama's favorite.
Obvious. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, he's not real subtle. So
he's not. No, he's not.
It's good though. So then we're back with the negotiator and Judas. They're debriefing their purchase. They're in some kind of a tavern or something, or cafe, or I don't know what it is. Judas is still really unsure about the whole thing, and he thinks the potential wealth that they might get out of it is like what is. It seems like it's not really gonna really give any meaning to anything. Like, so what? He doesn't feel good about what they've done, and he wants to do something that really matters with his life. And the negotiator's like, hey, look, I'm going to give you an advance, pulls out a bag of coins, sets it down. He's like, hey, take a few weeks off, take a vacation, go find some of that meaning that you're looking for, and then we'll get back to it.
You know, some of the things that this part was so much better the second or third time around. You've already pointed out the identity, because we learn later, the first time you're watching this episode, you don't know who this ends up becoming until the very end of the episode. And so you're just like, you're trying to figure out like, what in the world's going on? And I didn't even suspect Judas. I wasn't even thinking that. But then, man, when you watch it the second or third time knowing who it is, you're like, man, that's, again. And I can't tell if I absolutely love, I'm going to need some more time with Judas next season to figure out how I feel about it. I can't tell if I absolutely love it or if I hate it. I'm one or the other, I think. I don't think I'm somewhere in the middle. I need to spend some more time with the Judas character, but really, all of a sudden appreciated those conversations on a whole new level after I knew the identity the second and third time around.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, I think the first time I watched it, I was trying to figure out who it might be. And looking at so we have two lists of the apostles in Matthew 10 and Luke 6.
Yep.
Are there any I'm forgetting about?
I want to say there's one in Mark 3.
Is there one in Mark? Okay. Well, anyway.
I mean, if I'm right,
I'm going
to be like, yes, fist pump.
Well, let me check Mark 3. You are right. Okay.
I see your textual reference earlier, and I raise you one.
Yeah. So, I was trying to figure it out. I can't remember. I might have actually looked these passages up while I was watching the episode initially to see like, okay, who do we have left? And so there's Bartholomew listed, and I think that's Nathaniel.
I'd have to go back and look, but that sounds right to me.
Because there is no...
Sounds right. I
think Judas is the last one, and there is no Bartholomew in the group. So I'm assuming that's got to be an alternative name for Nathaniel or something. I don't know. Then we have, Judas Iscariot. So where's the other one? So in Luke, there's Judas, the son of James, and then Judas Iscariot. So it's like the lists are not even completely consistent across the Gospels. But I didn't do the full accounting. And so I thought maybe it could have been Bartholomew or something else. So I wasn't, and I thought, well, maybe there's a second Judas. Maybe they're going to, it makes sense that if they can avoid a name conflict, they're probably going to do that. They have enough name conflicts as it is. But yeah, I wasn't sure that it was going to be this particular Judas. When even with the bag of coins, like that didn't really, I guess some people that tipped some people off. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really wasn't really didn't figure it out by the end of the episode. I was surprised when we found out who it actually is.
Yep. Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't think about how many we had already encountered and how many were left. I thought there was at least a few, but I guess you're right. I have not been counting bodies in these scenes.
I don't think I had counted up until this point, and I was like, this is clearly being introduced as somebody, but I just wasn't sure who it was yet. So, whatever. I really try not to like get too deep in the weeds in this kind of stuff when I'm watching stuff. I really just try to let the story like roll over me because, I mean, people do that, they want to stop the show. I mean, if you're watching something on Amazon Prime, if you pause it, it'll just tell you the actors' names and their characters right there at the bottom of the screen. Mm-hmm. It's like, I get the drive for that. And my wife is totally that way where, as soon as somebody comes on screen, she wants to know like, oh, who is that? How do I know them? And I'm like, can we just look this up afterwards? But I think I'm probably rare. I don't know. So moving on, we have Nathaniel, Thaddeus, and little James, and they are location scouting. They have all these specific requests from Jesus about what the location should be like, and they're like, it seems like he already knows where he wants us to be, and we just have to figure it out, which is kind of fun if you think about it. Like, Jesus was wandering around at some point. He's like, yeah, that's the spot right there. And I'm going to make them search for it. I'm going to make them do the work, kind of like, you would do with the text, but in a physical, geographical sense. So it's kind of fun like that.
I do that on my scouting trips for Israel and Turkey. I mean, I go out ahead. I try to figure out exactly where I'm going to be and how I want to come at a site and all that. I could totally see that. I appreciate that. I like that, Brent. Yeah.
So then they happen upon a shepherd with a flock, and she is not interested in speaking with them at all.
She is not interested, to call back to our session 1 material. Thank you very much.
Right.
Good work, Chosen. Good work.
And so, they obviously have quite a bit of resistance about this location. And Thaddeus is like, well, I think that means this is the place we're supposed to be.
I do love Thaddeus as just always humble, quiet rightness. I do love that about Thaddeus. It's beautiful.
Then we're back with Shmuel and Yanni, and they are sharing their findings with Shammai himself, and he's pretty excited about this. He says he can use it against Shimon whenever Jesus inevitably gets Rome's more direct attention. And Shammai is asking for any additional rumors that they have beyond the facts they've established. He tells them to spread the word about all of this information, leaving out the fact that Shimon and Nicodemus are already aware, just setting that whole thing aside because they're going to write up all these documents that they're going to date them. And then when things blow up, they're going to pull out that stuff and they're going to say Shimon and Nicodemus already knew about this, and they set it aside, and he's going to take over the world, basically.
Yeah, definitely a sensational scene. Definitely kind of dramatic. What they did with the Shammai character there. And I don't know if I feel like I'd love to hear somebody that is much more aware of that era of rabbinic history and those two personalities to know if there's actually historical credence to, was that a part of Shammai's personality? Do we even know?
Yeah. Was he the scheming type or not?
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I loved that scene or hated it. Just a very sensationally politically minded, upfront, in your face nature of that. I appreciated the character work, but the one thing I did like, no matter how I feel about its historical plausibility, and again, I'm not saying it's not, there could even be stuff I'm not aware of that tends to, point us in that direction, but it definitely made that scene relatable. Like, I feel like there's so much of that in the evangelical church world today. Like, so much shrewd, and not in a good shrewd way, like a bad, shrewd, conniving, plotting, manipulating within, whether it's denominational systems or just the consumeristic world of evangelical celebrity, or I don't know, just I was like, okay, well that feels like home. So I mean, that I did appreciate that part of that conversation. That I could relate to it on that level and be like, yeah, I get that. Okay.
Yeah, and Shmuel continues to be very uncomfortable with how political the whole operation is. But even Yanni in this scene, like, Shammai gets done with his thing, and he's like, the house of Hillel will fall and the house of Shammai will rise. And Yanni's like, we just came here to do this one simple thing. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to address all that in my sermon. Don't worry, you'll get what you want, but I've got bigger plans with what you're bringing to me.
Yep.
So it's even getting out of control for what Yanni was thinking was happening. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I've just always pictured Shammai as somebody like deeply, deeply devoted, almost more like the Shmuel character. And that would not work for The Chosen nearly as much. So I appreciate the screenwriting of that, but that's how I've always just pictured him. But there might be some things there that I don't know about or haven't even considered, but yeah.
I didn't realize, I guess I knew at some point that Hillel was a little bit earlier in the timeline and Shammai came a little bit later. But I didn't necessarily have in mind that he was contemporary with Jesus like this.
I have wanted to look into that about how much the timeline works, but yeah, I've had some of the same thoughts, but I'm good with it. I'm thrilled that they're a part of the conversation.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. So then we have Matthew and Jesus. They're on a hill above the camp, and there's papers, there's tablets everywhere. They've been working on this. Matthew is looking down at the other disciples and saying, I really hope they can work together. And Jesus is like, yeah, it's going to be hard. When you open things up to all people, you're going to get a whole bunch of different perspectives. So it's not a surprise that they are having to work through some things.
I really like Jesus's tone of like understanding. Like as he talks about that, he's like, I get that about people. And I do love that in the Jesus God character here, like that part of his compassion. Like that's part of what it means to be human. And of course this is going to happen and you can expect that. And there was no like condemning spirit. I think Matthew even says like, obviously not the way we would want it. And Jesus is like, yeah, of course not. And yet I can understand it. And I thought, man, what a beautiful part of that. You passed right over the flyers, man, which we'll have plenty of opportunity to come back to it. I have in all caps in my notes, flyers, ? Exclamation point.
No, I mentioned them.
Frustrated faces.
I mentioned that Mary was writing those out.
You didn't pause long enough for me to freak out about it. I'm like, are you serious? Like, where are we getting this kind of paper? What's going on here? This is one of the elements that I am just completely freaked out and frustrated by. Like, flyers? I have appreciated that so much of what we've talked about has been historically plausible. Dallas talked about that when we talked with him. Historical plausibility. The historical plausibility of that idea is in the tank. Like it's way low. So, the flyers, man, I just can't get over the flyers.
Yeah, and we'll get to them a little bit later when they're passing them out. But yeah, the wastefulness of it and the expense of it, for that matter,
they just wouldn't have had it.
Pretty substantial.
They didn't have paper to learn anyway. I can't. Okay, I'll let it go.
So Matthew, I think, says that they're up to 19 sections on the sermon. There's actually 20 in the Sermon on the Mount, so they're obviously close. Matthew is commenting. He's like, it kind of seems like it's more bad news than good news, Jesus. And he's like, well, look, I'm starting a revolution. He emphasizes that he does not mean a revolt. They agree that there needs to be some sort of an introduction to the whole thing. And Matthew is talking about what they have at the front currently, which is the you're the salt of the earth. And he's asking about that metaphor. He's like, look, I don't really get metaphors, so can you help me understand what's going on here? And Jesus goes through the whole thing, and Matthew's like, well, why don't you just say it like that?
Yeah.
Jesus is like, you got to allow me a little bit of poetry here. Some people like some flavor to their sermons.
Yeah, which at that point in the conversation, he was talking about salt, and I loved, like, all of his explanations, I think, are exegetically, hermeneutically, like, sound and very Peshat level, to use Session 3 language, and I loved it. Like, I was like, yeah, that those are all things that Jesus wants any listener to get, and I was like, oh, I wish that they would get into, like, the salt. What is it remezing? Is it Job 6? Is it Genesis? Is it Leviticus? Like, to go into that, I didn't expect them to, but then when Matthew asks about kind of the depth and the craziness, and they get into that part of the conversation. I went, okay, that satisfied, that acknowledgement satisfied that itch for me, and I really liked that. That was good. I love Jesus' comments earlier about I didn't come here. I can't tell what word I wrote here in my notes, Brent, but I didn't come here to be something and soothing. Man, I can't read my own writing. It's horrible. But I did love that phrase from Jesus. I didn't come here to be soothing. I didn't come here to just tell everybody. And I did love the revolution. I didn't say a revolt. I was like, yeah, so good. Yep. Excellent.
Yeah, and I do think the way Jesus gave those examples is almost a little bit of a precursor to what he's going to do later in the episode with the Beatitudes. A little bit different way of doing it, but I think it has the same sort of like richness to it.
Yeah, and his comment about this is going to make sense to some. I have this one written down too. It's going to make sense to some, but not to others. I don't want passive followers. Like, how many times does that show up in some of our session 3 discussion? And I love the way that the Chosen phrased that in the dialogue. That's another way of saying what I tried to say a handful of times. And what a great way to say it. I'm not looking for passive followers. To even go back to session 1 and talk about the Jacob and the Esau. Like, God wants that Jacob character that's willing to wrestle and get a little messy, and it's a little dirty, and it's a little whatever. But I'd rather have that chutzpah-laden passion and conviction and fire than I would passivity. And it's such a great line when you think about parables, when you think about Pardes.
Yeah, I think of the parable of the soils.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just loved that. It's a great line.
So Jesus, affirms Matthew's contributions to the conversation and says, he's going to need a little bit of time to develop what we'll find out as the Beatitudes. Then we're back with our location scouts, and they're in that same tavern that we saw Judas in earlier, and they're discussing a deal with the owner of the land. They tracked down, in spite of the shepherd girl who was not interested in talking to them, they were able to track down the owner of the land, and so they're discussing a deal with him. It is not going well. The guy does not see any upside to this whatsoever. He's like, it's just going to make a whole mess of anything. I don't like the crowds. I don't like all this stuff. And the negotiator and Judas are, up against the bar at this point, and they kind of lean over, hear the conversation, they get involved, and they convince the man that, hey, if this teacher is really as popular as they say it is, this location could end up being really meaningful to people. You could have a whole lot of sales of everything that you make. And ultimately they make the deal because of the comments they made. But those two guys duck out before the disciples have a chance to say anything to them. And they're having a conversation like, hey, maybe we should go check this Jesus guy out. Yeah,
it was great. No, more good character building, and I liked how they worked out the land thing. I thought that was a cool part of the episode, especially as it related to those characters. So, yeah, I like that one.
So here's where it is. The disciples are now passing out and hanging up the flyers. Maybe hanging up is a little more realistic than passing out.
No, they're passing out. There's
well, they're mostly passing out, but there are a few people who nail them to a post or something.
Yep, because they're going to take one down to take it to.
I don't know if you like the hanging up a little better.
Well, I mean, no, I don't. But I've said my piece. I'm going to let it go.
All right. Well, yeah. So Nathaniel and Thaddeus are going over some building plans at this point, and they're constructing what we find out to be the stage. Gaius and Atticus get a hold of.
Okay, just did it again. Did that not bother you? A stage?
Yeah, I mean. We'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end.
Okay. I'll give you more. The flyers in the stage. Oh, just killing me here.
Yeah, I know.
With the backdrop, it's like it's a church plant. It's like it's a small little church plant setup. Like, I was expecting them to pull out folding chairs, Brent. I was expecting them to pull out 1,000 folding chairs and set them up on the grass. Like, yes. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
It was exactly like it was when my church used to meet in a gymnasium back in 2003.
And I would love to say it made it relatable, but I just couldn't get through the historical. Oh man!
If anything, it was triggering.
Yes, seriously. Oh.
But yeah, so Gaius and Atticus, they get a hold of one of these flyers and they bring it to Quintus, and then of course we see later on when the crowds are coming in, it's also, there's Roman soldiers all over the place checking everything out, keeping track of everybody. But then we see Matthew, he's watching at a distance as Jesus continues to rehearse or work out his lines or whatever he's talking about. And then we see the disciples returning to camp, and Simon is like, hey, whatever happens, like, we've done what we're supposed to do at this point. We got to get some rest and be ready for tomorrow.
I love the comment of Simon Z, when they're like, does he ever, we don't even know if he's coming back. We don't even think he's been back. And Simon Z's like, well, I see him in the morning. Like, he's up nice and early doing his zealot workouts.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Doing all of his, and he's like, I see Jesus every single day with Matthew. I just loved that little aside comment. It was so good.
Yeah. And it's interesting that he's the only one who's awake at that time. I mean, he certainly has a reason to do it, but it's interesting that nobody else has that routine. So it's like, yeah, okay, so this guy does bring something to our group that we didn't have before, even though he's kind of a weirdo.
Yep.
So then we see Jesus, and he's waking up Matthew. It's late in the evening at this point, so Matthew has dozed off, and Jesus is like, I've got the opening. And then this is, I think this is the scene you were talking about. This is definitely the scene for me where Jesus recites the Beatitudes, and it's there's clips of each of the disciples as he says each of the lines. And it's like, man, after 2 seasons of being with these characters, like, we know their stories, and each one of those Beatitudes just fits so well with each of their storylines. And I don't know if they had this scene like in mind as they were developing the characters initially, or when they came to the point where they had this, but man, everything is just totally paid off in those lines of the Beatitudes.
This scene was so good, they could have almost put folding chairs out and I would have been okay. Like, it was so good. It was so brilliantly written, not because I think in a historical sense, because if I'm understanding the scene correctly, I'm getting the impression that Jesus is like, he's trying to figure out the intro of the sermon. How am I? And he keeps going out over the hill. Matthew points it out early in the episode. Why do you keep looking down there? He's got this love. He's got this compassion. He cares about his followers. He's thinking about his followers. And it's from that he draws the Beatitudes. As I'm hearing the scene, it's this day of reflecting on who his disciples are and what he sees as so beautiful in them. And that's where he draws. Not that I'm thinking historically that's literally where Jesus got the Beatitudes from, but from a screenwriting episode design that was so good. Like, I am an absolute mess watching that scene. The way it was delivered, the way it was designed, the closing line looking at Matthew. Oh my gosh, I am like...
And Matthew doesn't even realize he's looking at him until partway through it, and then it hits Matthew, and it's like, oh!
I am ugly weeping at that point. Like, oh my goodness, that was such a great such a great scene. So good. So good, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm tearing up now just talking about this scene. Yeah, man, what a deal. That.
Yep.
Yeah, so good. Such a great way to, like, I mean, it's not quite the closing of season 2, but man, what a way to pay off 2 seasons of just incredible filmmaking.
It was. I mean, I remember watching this the very first time, and I had loved season 2 so much. And by this time, I've seen the flyers, I've seen the stage, and I'm almost in a rage watching this episode the first time. And this scene hits, and I'm just like, don't even care. You this is so good.
Yeah,
they rocked me. It was so good. So good.
So then the next morning we see all the crowds approaching, and Jesus is continuing to rehearse and work things out behind the stage. The women are discussing what he's going to wear. Simon and Andrew are fretting about the size of the crowd, and then Eden comes up, and there's this great little moment between Simon and Eden, and then Jesus calls Eden over, and he's like, hey, I need a tiebreaker on what color I'm supposed to wear here. And then the negotiator and Judas arrive, and the negotiator goes to speak with Philip, and then Judas ends up asking some people we already know, Barnaby and Shula. He's like, "Hey, where should I go to hear Jesus?" And they're like, "Well, you could do a lot worse than following us. We're definitely going to be close." And then Atticus and guys, the other soldiers are wandering around. John and Z are trying to keep the line of people from like crowding up against everything. John's parents arrive, so it's kind of like this big reunion of everybody we know from the first couple seasons.
That part was cool. Yeah.
Jesus and Mary are discussing how they miss Joseph, and Mary's talking about how proud she is of Jesus. And Simon comes up to Jesus to say it's time to start the sermon. Barnaby and Shula come around the corner at this point. Nathaniel notices Judas and greets him. Nathaniel was there earlier when they were negotiating with the landowner. He's like, "Oh, hey, you're the guy from the place." And Simon introduces himself. This is where we find out that it's Judas. And then the disciples form a little bit of a tunnel behind the stage. And Jesus walks up in slow motion and sees the crowd and smiles. And, okay, Marty, time to talk about the stage.
I don't even want to talk about the stage. I just want to talk about that other scene some more. I'm going back to my favorite scene. We'll come back to this stage later.
Okay.
I'm going back to writing the Beatitudes on the hillside. I have more notes. I saw more notes. I found more notes in my notebook. I loved the way he described the Beatitudes as the map. What a cool map and directions. And then later at the end, why is that a map? Because if people want to find me, those are the groups you should look for. Just like so good. And then in the middle of the Beatitudes, did you know? This had to have been intentional, and if it was, I'm just so impressed. Did you notice that they matched up the sons of God? Which Beatitude has the sons of God? Peacemakers, and they show Philip, whose character has definitely been the peacemaker character, right?
Yes. Yep.
Also an Essene, which Essenes called themselves sons of God.
Ooh.
And I just went, oh my goodness. Like, I'm with you. Did they know this stuff beforehand and design that stuff because they knew this scene was coming? Because that was brilliant. Like that was fantastic. Anyway, that's all the notes I have on that scene. The stage, I hate it. I just hate the stage. There's no way. There's just no way. There's no historical plausibility to the flyers. The stage, it has such a mega church vibe. His dress, like even that felt like, am I at like I have no, and whatever. This isn't a comment about Hillsong, but I'm like, am I at a Hillsong like worship set? Like what's going on here? Like it just had such a mega church thing going on.
Yeah.
But the Beatitudes scene is going to buy me an awful lot of grace. I'm ready for season 3 without any cynicism or pessimism. I was the same way in season 1. I wasn't in love with the Samaritan woman at the well story. And here it is, season 2. I apparently do not love the finales of their seasons, but that was one heck of a season. It was one heck of an episode with some of the best parts of the whole season in it. So I'll just look past the stage for now. As long as season 3 doesn't open up with like a smoke machine and some lights, I'm gonna be okay.
Well, from what I was talking about, I guess Dallas was saying in his reaction video, like people were like, "Well, how come we didn't hear Jesus doing the Sermon on the Mount?" It's like, well, he was doing it throughout the whole episode as he was writing it with Matthew and the other stuff. So like, I don't know that we're gonna get any more of this. I think.
Oh goodness, I hope not.
I think season 3 is going to open with, after the sermon, but I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of what it sounded like from what Dallas was saying in his video.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that it was episode 93 when we talked about this setup where the opening of Matthew 5 says, "Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them." And we had the conversation about whether them is referring directly back to the disciples, which is the most immediate context of that statement, or if it's actually referring to the whole crowds.
And it'll be a few episodes later at the end of the Sermon on the Mount where we close by noticing that the crowds react. So it's very historically, you would expect the rabbi to talk to his disciples. You would not expect a rabbi to do a big sermon like this, but Matthew's like definitely setting, he's wanting to give you that vibe, which is then reinforced at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, where it talks about the crowd's reaction. And so you're like, okay, so the crowds are listening. As Matthew tells it, the crowds are listening. So I'm good with the crowds part of it. Yeah. Because I think that's definitely how Matthew paints the picture. So yeah.
End of the Sermon on the Mount would be a good eye or fruit of fools?
Fruit of fools.
Okay, so
I think, yeah.
Episode 99 then will be the closer.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, I'll put those links in the show notes if anyone wants to go back and review our thoughts on that idea. But yeah, that's the end of the episode, the end of the season, and very long credits, of course, because they have all of the financial contributors who are not anonymous listed. So there's like, I don't know, 9 minutes of credits or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't actually that long. It went by faster than I expected. But there are bloopers after the credits. So if you missed...
I don't know if I stuck around to see that.
Yeah, you see, you gotta...
And I should know better. People don't stick around for ours. So there you
go. Yeah, you never know. I mean, the music is so good. Like, just soak in those Beatitudes. Just let the music flow over you and just meditate on the Beatitudes.
I needed some therapeutic credits after the stage. Yeah.
Okay, well, do we have any final thoughts?
It was good work. For all it knows, I don't know who will listen to this or whatever. Anybody associated with the Chosen, that season was so well done. Do not let my frustration with the stage and the flyers rain on your parade. Like that season impressed me far more than the first, and I was already all on board after season 1. So, I can't believe you can keep this up, but so well done. Like, yeah, kudos, man. I'm looking forward to season 3, and there's not a whole lot of things I look forward to. When is it coming out? It's like but I am for this one. I am. So there you go. Okay. Well, if you want to get a hold of Marty, you can find him on Twitter at Marty Solomon. I'm at EIBCB. And you can find more details about the show at BamaOnASabShow.com. So thanks for joining us on the Bama Podcast. We will talk to you again soon for an unknown bonus episode. We don't know what the bonus episode will be next. Not next week, probably. We'll find out.
We'll find out. But who knows? In the future, you'll get bonus episodes when you least expect it.